Church, turn your Bibles to Psalm 16, verse 11. This is a time in the service we call communion, when we take up the bread and the juice that represents Jesus' body and his blood respectively, and we remember what Jesus' sacrifice did for us and what that means in our lives. And today we have our amazing sister Cindy to come up here and to share what the cross means to her, what Jesus' sacrifice means to her. And she's asked me to read from Psalm 16, verse 11. Psalm 16, verse 11 says, "You make known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand." Cindy.
Hello everyone. I'm so privileged to be up here to share what the cross means to me. And to those who don't know me, my name is Cindy. And at this point of my life, the cross means joy to me. Just a bit about myself. I'm actually Chinese, and I was born and raised in Fiji. Throughout high school, I was known as the shy and quiet girl with good grades. I've always put my parents in the center of my life. Pleasing them, meeting their expectations, making them happy and proud was important to me. So I was really obedient to them and did whatever they wanted me to do. As long as they were happy, I'm happy. So they were my source of happiness. As years passed, I started to value education, and studying became an important part of me. They have also become my source of happiness because I believed that if I studied and achieved praiseworthy results, I would be happy. My friends were important to me as well. They gave me the happiness that I wanted, and I cherished every single moment that I had with them. Watching movies, singing, dancing, chatting, being crazy. But studying became much more difficult. I would always stay up all night in my room studying just to achieve the results that would make my parents happy. And as my grades got better, my parents' expectations grew higher and was harder to meet. I wasn't happy studying at all. I don't think anyone would be. I grew tired of studying. I lost sleep for some time. And when I actually got the results that I wanted, my happiness lasted just for a short while. But I continued to study despite what I was going through, and I longed for happiness. At the end of my high school years, my parents decided to send me here to study in UNSW. I was so excited because I thought maybe I'll finally be happy here in Australia. But reality struck me when I started to feel homesick. Although I video called my parents often, I still felt sad. Although I texted my friends, I felt detached. Although I lived with my relatives, I felt lonely. Although I studied hard and achieved good results, I wasn't happy. Because I didn't have my family close to me, my friends weren't around me, and studying didn't fulfill me. All my source of happiness was gone. During those months, I was like, I'm tired of everything. I'm tired of studying for a hopeless future. I'm tired of meeting my parents' expectations. I'm tired of coming back late from uni with nobody home to cheer me up. I'm tired of bottling up my emotions and crying in my room with no one to comfort me. I'm tired of searching for happiness because I couldn't keep them. I lost hope finding true happiness, and I even lost hope on living. I grew weary and depressed and started to build this shell around me and hid inside. I didn't let anyone in to know how I truly felt and what I was going through because I believed that nobody could understand me and no one could help me. But after a while, I met Barrick, a sister who is in Samoa right now. I'm pretty sure like some of you are familiar with this story. And so Barrick invited me to Bible discussions, and I went a couple of times, but I stopped because it was taking up my studies, like the time where I get to study. So after the last Bible discussion, I slept over at her place, and I remember that I was left alone in the room, and I started praying to God. And this is what I said: "Dear God, I'm so sorry that I don't have the time for you. I'm really busy with my studies and assignments. I'm so stressed out. But I promise you that I'll reach out to you in the future when I'm free. Not now. And boom, 2 months later, I met another sister, Anna. We studied the Bible together, and she asked me if I wanted to be happy. I was like, of course, who wouldn't want to be? She told me that all I had to do was to put God in my life and obey His words. Even though it was written in the Bible, I didn't believe it. So she invited me to church, and I came. When I entered the room, I was blown away because everyone was so joyful and happy, and I didn't understand why. I talked to many disciples, and most of them were international students, and I admired them because they also came all the way here alone to study, and they didn't have their family or friends with them, but they were still so happy because God was their source of happiness. And so I started to see a little bit of hope. I got together with the girls almost every day to study the Bible. I started to break out of my shell a little by little. And as I became a Christian, I started to see the changes in my life. I've become so much more joyful and open. I found delight in everything I do. I had fun while studying. I didn't become only happier, but also ambitious and excited for the future. And notice how I mentioned the word happiness a lot, but not joy? It's because I have been happy, but not joyful. So what's the difference? Joy is more consistent, and it is something we experience that is deeper and more meaningful. Happiness is something we feel because of our situation or circumstances. We are happy because something makes us happy, but we are joyful because of something within us. When I put my family, friends, or education in the center of my life, I failed to find the happiness that I've always wanted because these things were not perfect. My family and friends are not always with me, and sometimes they could disappoint me, and studying didn't fulfill me. But when I replaced them with God, I found what I wanted because God is perfect. He never changes. He's always with me no matter where I am and what the circumstances are. Whenever I think about the cross, it cuts me all the time because of what Jesus had been through for me. He was tortured and crucified just so that I can have this happiness and joy. Now let me ask you all a question. What is it that you put in the center of your life that gives you joy? Is it your family, friends, studies, work, relationship? I'm so grateful that I have found my source of consistent happiness. What about you? I'd like to end here with a scripture that I really love. It's in John chapter 15, verses 9 to 11. And this is what Jesus said before he went to the cross. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Now remain in my love. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love. Just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. Thank you all for listening.